Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So first things first, I have finally committed to a little poem. And my little poem, well, doesn't rhyme, so is it a poem? Could be debated. It is just some thoughts and some feelings that I think about when I focus on spring. So what I ended up doing is writing down, little birds are building nests, flowers begin to bloom, the smell of spring is in the air. So I did it. I finally got something down and stitched into positions. So took a little bit to get it in because I sort of drew it out with the pen and then it didn't quite fit, and then I sort of adjusted what I wanted to say. So I fiddled around a little bit, to be honest. But I finally got it down, so I'm happy about that. Today's video, we've got 2 videos left for spring. Quite a bit of work to do. I've got an idea for the blossoms. Finally something came into my mind. Oh, just looking at this piece of fabric. There's a little flower in the fabric. So the plan was to cut out some little rough circles and stitch them down of various shades of yellow fabrics. So I went to my scrap basket and pulled out a few different options. There's even a flannel in there. And then I've just spotted this little flower within the fabric. No, I don't like that. It's a bit cheesy. But I like the golden yellows. So the thought was I create a cluster. Now Fudgy's decided to turn up and bellow outside my door. We were sitting with him on my lap having a coffee about 10 minutes ago, and then I was watching one of Rachel's videos, sort of waking myself up, and then I decided to hop up and, come in here and start filming. So Fudgy was rudely thrown from my lap and is now wandering around bellowing if to say, why aren't we in there? So I feel like I finally nutted out these little yellow blobs that are on my page. 3-dimensional little yellow blobs will be added in different tones, so it looks like it's a cluster of yellow blobs. It gets a bit tricky when you've got a piece of fabric where there's some impressions of flowers. They're not actual flowers as such that you can really easily see that they are what they are, and the artist has drawn something for you just to literally paint in. When it gets a little bit wishy-washy, it can be a bit of a challenge to sort of look past that and decide what you're going to do. And for me, these yellow bits was definitely that. But this will work. Just lots of little random circles, and then within the circles I can put a decorative stitch or a bead. I don't have a lot of yellow beads, so I thought, well, I'll just get the fabric down and maybe I can use a gold or a cream or a white. It'll sort of depend on how the cluster comes together as to what colour I use. I could even use ribbon, but I don't think I will. I don't have a lot of yellows. Maybe just a nice embroidered cotton. Embroidery cotton, DMC, stranded cotton. So that's the plan for the, I'm going to call it wattle. It sort of reminds me of a native in our country. We have these wattle blossoms that are little clumps of yellow furry things. So I'm thinking along those lines. I might just stitch a few down because I'm going to have a hang of a mess. So I'm just going to hope that they stay and just quickly do a stitch in the center of them. That one could be under there, it's darker. I feel like that would be behind the front one, just to show a little depth. So what are you all up to today? I don't have a lot planned. Really need to do some housework, but we all know what that idea is like. A silly one. Getting close to starting our summer piece. Well, for me, it'll be summer. For a lot of you, it'll be your winter piece. So I've been thinking about the critter, actually. Sonia. Susanna sent me some fabric that has some bunnies and owls and a little while back. And I'm just thinking maybe switching out the bird that I had picked for it and adding in one of those critters. And I really felt like getting it out and having a look, but I thought, no, I have to finish spring before I start mucking around with summer. So I resisted. See how hard that was? Not to go rifling through my fabrics. So I'm being a good girl. I'm going to do my yellow blobs. Goodness sakes. And I think I looked at my little calendar and I think we're, what, 2 videos off starting our next season. That guy up there might, actually we'll scoot up to him and grab him, and then they're all secure and we can start again. Okay, let's come back down here with our needle and start again. This was quite quick. I thought I'd be fiddling around for a while, but this is quite an easy little 3-dimensional element. The other thing I need to do is those flowers up there. I wonder if I could find a bead. Don't have a lot of yellow beads. The one I did look at, it's right behind me here, is this guy. But this is slowly turning into bead soup. Look at the green in there. That's just messing with me. I shouldn't let it bother me, but it does. Some green. No, see, I just don't have yellow. This guy here is next. So if you've got an area on your piece that just needs a little lift of something, it might be very plain. These just make great little flowers, little pieces of fabric clustered together. Another one there. I'd say I'll find a pearl cotton and do quite a substantial colonial knot or French knot in them, I think, is how I'm going to decorate them. They've got a real golden colour and my beads are very primary yellow. Nearly there. So there's a little one there. I'm just sort of going by eye. Yeah, like I think I said, did I say? I thought the thought. You could trace, you know, each one and cut them out accordingly. But I don't think I need to. I'm just doing a rough cut. Keeping it very organic. It's another good word for messy. I wish I had some really little buttons. They would have looked rather snappy on there, but got to make do with what you got. I think it'll look distinctively different to some other areas in the piece, which is what I sort of want. I want it to look like there's little pockets of yumminess. Need to put some beads in there yet. Some frosting, adding all your beads. Really makes your piece come alive. Or I might even be able to find a metallic thread and do some stitching with metallic threads. But like I said, there's only this video and the next video and we come to the end. So okay, where have we got to go next? Down the bottom here. Having a bit of an idea. I could put another fabric, like a net, over it to give us a little bit more texture again, like a cream. A cream net fabric, just a little. I'm just looking across to my scrap bucket and I think I can see something sticking out. It's not yellow, but it's, you know, pale. I might just leave that needle there and lean over and grab it, unless it's got pink in it. Oh no, it's got white. Let's have a little look. This will just add. Right, we're getting really finicky here, like fussy. Yeah, I like that. Just puts a little element. Oh yeah, I did find these. Don't have many of those. These are like flower sequins. Let's see what this looks like. I pulled everything out to do this video last night. I don't mind that. I need a really good knot to hold it, or do I just stitch? I probably wouldn't put it on all of them, I think. Yeah, I like that. That's put a bit of glam in there. I probably would just pick a colour, one or two, and just sprinkle a couple through the area, but would that look weird? Do I keep it soft and organic? Do we really want that brassy? Looks like a star you'd give a kid. I don't know if I like that. I don't think I do. I'm going to take that off. Even just with one or two, yeah, no, I don't like it. I think it's just too much. Pop him away. He might be good just by himself somewhere, you know, not having such a big yellow blob behind him, just a random little flower here and there, but no, save them for a rainy day. Yep, nope, rejected. Now, where were we? I think these little bits of net through will just soften the whole piece. I'm really liking that. Subtle. Yeah. Like seriously, anyone glancing at this is not even going to see what I've done there, but I do like it. Let's just put another layer on top of a layer. So I didn't have some yellow chiffon or, well, it's not really yellow. I'm going to say it's more lemon. Probably if I went digging, I would have found something else, but I've got enough stuff on my table because every time I do a project, a bit hangs around. And it's just getting to the point where I nearly need a project to get rid of the projects. Does that make sense? Yeah, I like this. And I'm really pulling the stitch tight so it's crimpling up the edges. It's really pretty. I was glanced at my summer piece that I've chosen, and it's so bright. It's going to be different again. I'm going to have to change out all my threads, pack up these ones and put together a whole new palette. Oh, I love doing that. It's like clearing the deck of everything and starting afresh. It's yeah, invigorating, I find. Can't believe how much work has gone into this. I'm sure you're all feeling the same, but it's very achievable when you do a little bit each week. You know, I do an hour with you and then probably an hour after I finish filming, sort of moving us forward, ready for the next section. So let's say 2 hours a week. And what have we got? 13 videos, 13 weeks per quarter. So 26, is my maths right? 26 hours, and then there's probably some days you do more than 2 hours. I know that took ages. So let's round it up to 30 hours, 30 hours work. That's probably being generous. There's probably days there I spent longer on it. So let's add another 5 hours. Gosh, let's round it to 40 hours of work in there. And that's probably closer to it. And then apply an hourly rate. And that's what your time is worth. Then you need to add a profit margin because you're just getting paid for your time. Well, technically in business you should have a margin in there. You don't just cover the wages, do you? It gives you a bit of an idea of just how hard it is to get payment for work when you're doing this type of work. So you really need to become the Picasso of textile so that you can charge thousands of dollars to eke out a living for yourself, which is very, very tricky. Not that I'm wanting to do that, but I'm just heading off on a rabbit hole thinking about the commercial viability of slow stitch. It's best we not think about it because that's very tricky. And these days you need to be all over the Instagrams and the Facebooks and to build a profile. And that just takes time and energy, and I'm just take your hat off to those out there that are making a living out of what they do and love. It's hard work. Very hard work. Okay, nearly there. Yeah, I like them, really do. I'll just go hunting for a thread. I think I've got 2 more to do. I've knotted it off because I want to, could even do a 3rd piece of fabric in there just as a little tiny layer again, like a cream or something. That thread, what did I even bother? Seriously, I started thinking about fabric. I wonder, just looking at this yellow and you turn it over and you've got a whole new colour scheme. I think I might do that. I've just finished this little net. It's getting fiddly now. I think I've got 3, 4. Maybe I should just leave it at that and finish them off camera, but I'll do one more because I'm thinking of adding another layer. Let's get that stitched. What is this fabric? Let's flip it over. See, it's gone paler. So let's do a really little circle. Oh gosh, Corinne, this is just fiddly now. Let's see what this looks like. Do it a little bit off center so it looks like the blossom is sort of turned. Let's come up here. I've just finished my coffee and I can feel the little caffeine shakes coming. And it's, here I am operating sharpish scissors, cutting tiny circles. See, now that this little cream guy is in there, that's got a sharp looking edge to him. Needs to be curved. Whoops, don't cut the net. Gosh, talk about make it even more fiddly. Now, let's do a couple more up here. We can maybe put a creamy bead in there because we've toned down the yellow a little. It's made them a little bit more interesting, hasn't it? This guy here. Another example of we only need a tiny little bit of fabric for this slow stitch business we're all in. It's like little morsels of scraps go so far when you're a combination of threads and stitches and beads and now I'm going to stay up there on that particular one, put this away because I'd say this here keeps floating around my desk too. You know, when they finish off some stitching and there's always that little cluster of threads at the end. It's like a man-made little knotty bit. Don't know, it's been floating around my desk for weeks. All right, let's have a look at some of these beads. I'm thinking this real creamy pearl might look rather pretty in there. Yeah, I love it. Now my little flowers look interesting. Gosh, I didn't know what I was going to do with these little Where's the hole? Oh my goodness me. Can't see for looking. There you are. Yeah, just by placing those different fabrics in there, I just looked up the TV. You guys are just seeing blobs. Looks better close up. Let me just zoom you in briefly so you can see the little layers there. See that? And it's crimped and got a bit of movement there. Whoop, bee just shot across the table. He's forever in the mix that permanently live across my table. There we go. Yeah, they look interesting now. Picks up on the yellow blossoms further down too. Yeah, it's really, I like it when a bit of colour that you add to your piece drifts in elsewhere on your piece. Just sort of helps combine it all. So then there's not one particular area that's jarring to your eye, so that you're looking at it thinking, oh, there's only blue, is just in that one spot. Yeah, that's good. Happy with that. Oh gosh, 27 minutes of just going round and round in circles. Let's just leave that for now, because that's just like super not exciting anymore. We've got the general gist of what we're doing. So I'm just going to bring my thread up there. No, I'm not. And then we might go play elsewhere, I think. Let's just get it up in the center here. All right. Okay, so I need a tray. There's never a tray. I've got so many projects going. Let me zoom back out and we'll work out what we're going to do next. Might head up here to these flowers. I really want to finish this, but I'm going to save that for the final week. And here's all my fabrics for the final flower. So I'll put them aside because we're going to go up here. Let's have a rummage in our colours and see what we've got. What are we going to do? I sort of feel like I want to, so I've got that colour, yellow. It's just too bright. I have to unpack all this now. There's a ribbon. See, it's the wrong yellow. Yeah. Don't mind that. So I think, what are we going to do? I think I should finish a sentence, but I can't because I'm thinking, where's a needle that can handle a thicker cotton? I don't know. I don't know if I want to paint them in like these here. I want to come up with something different. Can we outline them? Like do a running stitch around them. I want to make it a little bit more organic instead of doing the classic painting them in totally. So we sort of want a bit of highlight stitching is what I'm thinking. So if we do a running stitch around them, that'll give them quite a primitive look. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm thinking. I could have probably gone a little darker, but then you run the risk of really making it obvious, an outline, and if you're not totally loving the outline, when it's really dark, that's all you're going to see. So I'm going to play it safe and do a paler colour and just do a running stitch around it, each petal. It's going to take a while, of course. And then maybe I do a ribbon centre. Where's that ribbon we just had? That would really lift them. Might be a bit bright. So there's one petal. So just coming down here. That should work. The only thing I'm going to have to do is keep my wits about me with which petal sits over what petal. The previous petal. Does that make sense? So before I charge on to the next petal, I need to have a little look to see, well, are you under something, over something? Because I'm outlining it. Does that make sense? I'll have to be stab stitch too, up and down, which is a lot slower, but I need my stitch to sit exactly where I want it. When you do a bit of a sashiko, feed the needle through, your needle's going at an angle. See, here I am. See this petal here? Actually belongs to this flower, and this petal tucks under it. So that's a prime example of watch what you're doing, girl, because you've now got overlapping petals. And if I don't keep my wits about me, it'll just become a mishmash in there. So I've just only need actually 2 little stitches. That petal technically is under that petal, so I only need a few little stitches over here. It'll take a little bit, but I think it'll be nice, subtle. It'll be different to this here, which is what I want. Oh, was I even on camera, guys? I get so excited about what I'm doing that I forget to glance up to my TV screen to see, as I project my Apple phone up to my TV on the wall via a Apple TV box. It's a tiny little black box that Apple sell that allows connectivity between a phone and your television set. And it really helps me see at a glance where I'm at. Otherwise I'd be constantly stretching up to get my nose over the top of the iPad to see on the iPad, which is not really feasible. Yeah, this is good because this will also hold down the raw edges of this little piece as well, because I've cut it quite close to the actual artwork of the flower, so it's already getting that fluffy, ratty sort of edged look, which is giving it a little bit of a feature as well. So this will be, yeah, I like that. So that's that little flower stitched. Just going to scoot over here. I feel like I'm a bit short on the stitch. And then I might drop in on this petal and shape it out, because I'm now onto the next. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with the camera? Why are we a bit out of whack today? It's because I've zoomed in. Once you zoom in, you sort of change your whole location of hands. So I'm coming down in there. Let's have a look at the center of this little flower. I feel like I could be a bit sneaky and put in some darker little strokes of stitches to highlight depth into the center of these little flowers. I think that'd be quite pretty. I might just get up into here where that cream is and get a border stitched in so that little flower is pushing the cream back. The petal, sorry, is pushing that cream. Yeah, that's good. All right, I'll just bring that thread up there. Just get a couple more stitches in and that'll use it. Then I'm going to go hunting for a darker pink, I think. And before I settle on a yellow for the center of these little guys, I just want to put a few pink little stitches in there. Oh, hang on, just take a count here, hang on. That flower is disappearing under that flower, so all right, stop right there. This is where you've got to keep your wits about you. So that petal I was stitching, I was heading out like that, but it's actually connected to that petal. Yeah, I'm going to end that off. I think we got the general gist of how I'm going to outline these little guys. It's going to be now looking for a darker pink, like something. Let's get these out. Got stuff dropping everywhere here. Now I've got these three. So there's our outline. Sort of feel like it needs to be this. Yeah, this one. So it's just now a couple little stitches in here just to help with building a bit of interest around the center. So all the details in the middle. Yeah, like that. It's going to give it a bit of a throat. So all going to plan. I'll finish embellishing all of these little random flowers that are around the perimeter. And then the last video for the spring will be our final magnolia. So it'll be laying the petals down and then stitching in those final little interesting bits and bobs for the center of it. Then I can start playing with summer. Okay, that's good. That's nearly quilted the center of that flower as well by pulling that thread in around that yellow. The yellow is now protruding a little higher. You know what I feel like putting in the center of this flower is a ruched rose. But it might be too much. Using that ribbon. It's ever so subtle, but I really like it. It's just giving that flower a little something. It's getting more and more extravagant as we go into the centre. Let's just finish that off. And should we do it? See, when the ribbon's by itself, it's quite subtle. But if I ruche it all together, will it look very strong? Let's just do it. Let's just do it and see how it looks, hey? Will this needle do it? Nope. Need a thicker. I remember the day I learnt these. I was with Jennifer in her class. She showed me this ruched rose. And I remember joking that I would forget the little steps by the time I got to the highway to drive home. And I did, because I then used them probably about 2 weeks later in a project. And I did the ruching, but I forgot the colonial knot to secure the rose in the centre. And luckily my fabrics were really thick, so it didn't really matter because they didn't fall out. But yeah, it's all those little steps, isn't it? It just takes so much practice to remember all of the little elements. So you sort of zigzag down your ribbon and then see how you ruche it down. Now you then can do a colonial knot in the centre to hold it, but because my fabric is so thick, it holds. It is not going to pull through. So I'm going to be cheeky and just skip that knot bit. But if you were to do the knot, you do the knot first. I'm going to scoot down here. You do the knot and then you know, zigzag, and then that knot follows through at the end. We'll do one and just show you the difference. But it does make a bulkier little flower. But you've now got that, oops, I just pulled it all out, did I? No. You've now got that little knot to start with coming down on top of your flower. So, see, it, oh, I've got so many layers. I'm not going to do the knot because I don't need to. It's really thick. There's like 4 different layers of fabric there, plus a crochet element. So it is not going to pull through. If I had really thin, fine fabric, there'd be a high chance that, you know, your ruched component would come through. But I'm flat out getting the needle through, let alone the ribbon following behind. There we go. So it's just made it hard for myself to do that pink, dark pink stitching, because now I've got ruched flowers in the way, but it's all good. I'll just have to take my time and slide my needle in around this little rose. But I like it. It's given it quite a different centre to my little flower. I just have to slither my needle in under it. Well, I think I have a plan now. Might even do some, if I could find a pink ribbon, I could do some little ruched flowers in the centre of this guy. He needs a little bit more embellishing. Get that zigzag happening. I feel like I'm all thumbs. There we go. That's not going anywhere. Gosh, there's wadding, there's a calico extension, there's a crocheted piece of fabric. The layers there's lots of layers. All right. So there's the little centres. They look great. That's picked up that yellow again. Let me zoom back out so you can see the whole piece. Let me just move that out of the way before there's beads everywhere. Got a mess. This here has been rolling around. I'm going to use that in that petal. Let's just pin that a layer within the magnolia. So I've got a bit further out. So we've got this little yellow cluster, a little bit more yellow up there, yellow over there. It's good. It sort of has blended it through the whole piece. So that is, so far, I think, everything. I might just thread this pink up that was left and do a little bit more stitching. We're sort of coming to the end of my time, so I might just, let's have a play with this guy. Wonder if we outline him in this darker thread, what would that look like? We did outline his mate down below in a pale thread. Maybe he could do with a little bit of jazzing up. Yeah, that's going to be good. That'll tie into the throat of the little daisies below. Maybe I'll do beads in there. I don't know. That'll be a surprise for next week. What did Corinne do in that pink flower? Sure, she'll come up with something. All my random exterior flowers will be completed this week. Then it's the final play with the magnolia. That was fun, cutting all the different layers of fabric. I've had this little container of the fabrics from the first magnolia sitting on my desk for so long, and I just wanted to get back and do the second magnolia, but there's all this background that needs to be done first. Yeah, like this. This has really punched up that flower. So we're going to make him look really good. We might even do a ring around the center. Just looking at it. Let's pop a few little stitches there. Yeah. Yes. And there's a hole in the center of that lacy piece that would be great for some beads. Whiz around the outside of this guy. It's amazing what just an outline does. Yeah, that looks really good. It's going to make that flower pop up there. Some strong colours happening with all those yellows, so I think I need that strong pink up there with it, just to... Got this bit of ribbon here, two left over from a project. Could feel like I could drop a bit of that in there too, just to use it. I might just pin that up there, take it with me into the lounge room, and might be able to use that. I'd say I'd have more somewhere too. Just a random thing that I spotted out of the corner of my eye. So where are we at? That's pretty much all my flowers, I think. 10 minutes. What could we do in 10 minutes? Maybe we have a look at the beads. For the centre of these flowers. Oh, I like that. I really like that dark edge. It's really made that flower pop. Completely different to this little guy down here. He's real subtle. The dark edges around those guys. There's just so many variations to what you can do with painting in flowers with threads. You can have the same fabric on so many pieces, but each one you do slightly differently. It just looks great. Okay. I think we got the general gist of this, so I might just can't put the needle down. I'm really enjoying this. Don't know what was lurking around in the backyard last night, but boy, Pepper and Bandit were disturbed. I'd gone to bed and I couldn't sleep. I'd had a bit of a nap earlier in the evening. I'd dozed off. So when I woke and said, look, go to bed, you know, lying there having a nap in the lounge room, I could be in bed sleeping. I had Fudgy under my arm and we were having a lovely little cuddle up. So I decided I'd go to bed. And of course, once I got into bed and turned the lights off and, you know, got myself into that position of sleep, I then picked up my phone to see who was out there because I didn't feel like sleeping. So I started watching a few YouTube videos. I didn't really finish any of them. I was flicking through heaps. And that sort of gets my mind thinking, and it's the worst thing you can do when you already had a bit of a sleep because that's it, you're awake. Anyway, Bandit had this low grumbling growl, which sort of makes me think something's around, but he's not sure. Or it's an animal and he can smell it. He knows it's not a threat like a human, but he's just grumbly growl. Pepper was just on alert. She wasn't saying anything, but she was very alert. And they were both looking in the same direction. And I thought, oh, goodness, what is it? Anyway, I lay there for about an hour and was on and off this little grumble of Mr. Bandit's. And my husband come into the room. He was passing through to go to the toilet. And I said to him, something's outside. I've been lying here just listening to the antics going on. And I said, I feel like releasing the hounds just to see where they take me. But as I said the sentence, I thought, well, if it's a possum, well, that's not real good. Then I've got to try and pull dogs off of a poor possum and give him a heart attack. And Gaz said, well, if it was a carpet snake, that's not real good either. So I decided it was a silly idea just to everyone stay where they were. Everyone was safe and secure. But we've got cameras around the outside of the property, and I kept looking to see if, you know, if there was a two-legged intruder walking around, which there wasn't. I think Bandit would have really been barking if it had been a human. But I couldn't see any animals either. So at the back of our block is a lot bigger block, and they have sheep. And often at night I can hear babies, little lambs bleating, not bellowing, bleating. So I'm wondering if that's what Bandit could hear, was some little lambs. And he sort of knew what they were and was just gently grumbling about it. I don't know. And Pepper was like, yeah, I know what they are, Bandit, but I'm not going to woof. It was that type of scenario. So, which also kept me awake. So I think it was 1:30 in the morning when I was like, enough. I even found a video that said, listen to this, you will be asleep in 3 minutes. Well, let me tell you, 3.5 minutes I was listening to this music, and it was, yeah, all I could think about was what instruments they were using and who wrote it, and does this actually work? And, you know, you start analysing it, and I'm like, well, this is not sending me to sleep. So I ended up deciding to just put the phone down, close my eyes, lie there still, and I did, and I went to sleep. Funny that, hey? There you go, I like that. That's really punched up that flower. Okay, all right. Definitely will be some beads there. How are we going for time? We've got a little bit of time. There'll be some pinks in here for sure. No. Reds. Don't want red. Could go pale and then drift into it some other tones. Be something a bit different. I'm sure I'll find something. Look, there's beads in here I bought for the project and I haven't even used. Look at these. I got them with Susanna. I haven't even used them. Anyway, doesn't matter. Plenty of beads in there. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I've got plenty I can play with. Finish all of my exterior flowers. And then I'll come back and do this in the last video. Embellish it, stitch in around, you know, do all those tricky little things we did down here. Lots of beads. Gosh, there's, you know, a couple hours work just there. So that'll be fun. All right, I'm going to mosey on along and have a play with this later on today. So look after yourselves, guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.